Welcome to We Are Bethel. We Are Bethel is just what it says. It's all about who we are as a local church called Bethel here in North Platte. This 4-part series called We Are Bethel will tell you all about who we are as a church, but is also one of the requirements for being a member here at Bethel. So before we get into our first session, I want to stop and take a little bit of time to talk about what it means to be a member here at Bethel. We'll start off with a shared vision. Our members have a shared vision with our church leadership here at Bethel. We work together toward a common mission, making sure that everything we do promotes God's purpose for Bethel Church. The second aspect of membership that's really important is mutual support. Membership is all about having a two-way relationship where members support one another through sharing our resources, our talents, and encouraging one another as disciple makers. And that leads us to the third aspect of what it means to be a member, and that's active engagement. Members actively participate in church activities, which means Sunday services, serving in ministries, and joining a Bethel Connect group. Here, members actively give their skills and insight, which actually fosters a sense of ownership and responsibility for the church's growth and health. Bethel is part of the Evangelical Free Church of America, and we'll talk about more of that in one of our later episodes, but that means that we are congregationally run, which means we work through collective decision-making so our members have a voice in the direction of our church. And finally, being a member means that you're going to be actively engaged in accountability. Part of accountability is to help and encourage others engage in their disciple-making journey as they live out their Jesus way of life. The other part of accountability means that we're also going to be helping each other stay engaged in personal evangelism and the overall mission of God to see people all over the world find and follow Jesus. Being a member of Bethel Church means that you're part of the Bethel Faith family. And as part of the Bethel Faith family, we find purpose in our shared vision, community, and mutual support, and live sent together as we engage actively, holding one another accountable to living a Jesus way of life and helping others find and follow Jesus. Now that you've learned a little bit about what it means to be a member here at Bethel, let's jump into the first session of our 4-part series where we explore the heart and soul of Bethel Church. Over these next 4 sessions, we'll dive into what makes Bethel unique, its mission, values, history, and how you can become part of this vibrant faith family. Get ready to discover a community passionate about faith, relationships, and making a difference here in North Platte and around the world. In this first session, we will look at Bethel's mission and identity. But first, let me start with a question. It's a question that gets right at the heart of why any local group exists, right? How do you create your own unique identity while still being part of something much, much bigger? Have you ever wondered why there are so many different churches if there's only one church in the Bible? It's a great question, and it really sets the stage for understanding Bethel Church. And here's the answer. Just like different countries have unique cultures, different churches reflect different people and serve as a gift from God to their surrounding community, designed to bless and help people flourish. Each local congregation uniquely reflects the Matthew 28 disciple-making mandate. At Bethel Church in North Platte, Nebraska, we describe our unique reflection of this mandate through our mission, values, and key definitions. Our core purpose, the very reason for our existence, is articulated in our mission statement. Bethel Church exists to engage people to believe in God's story, belong in God's story, become a disciple maker in God's story, and bless our world with God's story. This mission isn't just a catchy phrase, it's deeply rooted in Scripture. If it sounds familiar, you might be thinking of Matthew 28, 19 through 20. When we view these verses through the lens of evangelism and disciple making, we see that our mandate as a church is to help people believe in Jesus, which is evangelism, belong to God's family through baptism, teaching, and connecting in community, become disciple makers committed to Jesus' mission, and bless the world, taking God's love to all people everywhere. It all starts with the mission. This is what Bethel is trying to accomplish. And we've boiled it down to this really simple, memorable framework we call the 4 B's. Now, the 4 B's aren't just, a random list of words. They're actually laid out as a clear pathway, like a journey. This is Bethel's specific take on the Christian mission to make disciples. You can see how it moves logically from an initial point of belief to finding a community then growing in your Jesus way of life, and finally, turning outward and taking action. Believing in God's story is everyday worship. Belonging to God's story is everyday stewardship. Becoming in God's story is everyday discipleship. And blessing in God's story is everyday service. So let's break these down one by one. The first step, believe, is defined as everyday worship. And what's interesting here is that this frames belief not as some one and done decision, but as this ongoing daily practice of engaging with God's story, of engaging with Jesus. Next up is belong, which we define as everyday stewardship. In this context, stewardship is all about the responsibility of caring for the community, of connecting with people, and living into what we describe as God's family or our faith family. The third step is become, and this is about everyday discipleship. The key insight here is the language we use. The goal isn't just to be a disciple, but to grow into a disciple maker, someone who actively helps other people along the same path, who helps other people find and follow Jesus. And this whole pathway leads to the final step, bless, or everyday service. This is really the end result of the whole process. It's a call to take everything you've learned and use it to make a positive impact for Jesus, both in the local community and out in the wider world. Okay, so if the 4 B's are our mission, really what we do, the next logical question is, how do we do it? Well, that's where Bethel's gospel values come into play. We will cover the values in our next session. But before we end this session, it's important to talk about 2 key terms. What is it that we mean by the gospel? And what does it look like to be a disciple? Well, here at Bethel, our mission, our values, our Jesus way of life, and our disciple-making efforts begin and are driven by the gospel. To ensure unity and clarity, especially with multi-meaning words like gospel and disciple, we work hard to provide common terms and language. We believe that clarity brings unity. As Paul commands us in Ephesians 4:3 to make every effort to keep yourselves united in the Spirit, binding yourselves together with peace. So, let's take a look at these 2 terms. What exactly is the gospel at Bethel? The gospel is the good news of God's relentless and loving pursuit of rebellious and disobedient humanity to restore and reconcile our broken relationship with Him. And as a disciple of Jesus Christ, a disciple is someone who surrenders to Jesus, is being changed by Jesus, and who is committed to Jesus' mission. These simple definitions are crucial because they inform every aspect of what we do at Bethel. Now, in our next session, we'll dig deeper into the practical ways in which we live out our mission by exploring Bethel's core I Heart values. You won't want to miss the next session as we take a look at these powerful concepts and see how they work in everyday action. Thank you for joining us for We Are Bethel Session 1. We encourage you to reflect on what it means to believe, belong, become, and bless. And join us in our next session as we uncover the I Heart values that guide our Jesus way of life and our journey with Jesus with our faith family, Bethel Church.